Throughout every stage of struggle, a song was a communal way of expressing your feelings of the injustice of the past or apartheid. In the protest of the crowds used to sing songs like Senzeni Na or Somlande Luluthuli. So we use choral music even when we had the crisis of HIV and AIDS. We asked composers to come and help us so that we can spread this message very quickly. So choral music and politics is almost the same. That's why today we have Ikgopoleng, Komane from Arise, South Africa. Ikgopoleng, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Sia. It's lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, tell us who's Ikgopoleng.
So Ikgopoleng Komani is a young woman from the West Rand in Gauteng, born and bred in a small township called Kagiso, and just transitioned from being a pageant girl into politics, which has become very interesting. Yes, a mixture of beauty with brains.
Yes. We have a new kid on the block, I can say. Arise South Africa.
Yes.
When did you form this party?
So Arise, there's a very interesting story about how Arise was formed. So the president, Mpotagada, and some of our leaders were in Dubai for a certain conference, and they were meeting different South Africans that have moved abroad, and as they were sitting and having conversations about what was happening back home, these were conversations about, do we want to go back home and build, or do we want to go out into the world and pretend as if nothing is happening back home because where we are feels comfortable? And this is just a story of how home follows you everywhere you are. So those are the conversations when Arise was born. But it was founded in February 2023. Okay. So that's where we sat down and said, okay, it's game time. Let's go. Yes.
About 2023.
Yes.
Still new.
Still new. But this baby is not crying. It's a new baby, but it's not a crying, crawling baby. It's a running baby.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you think? I think we have more than 30 political parties.
Yes.
In South Africa.
Absolutely.
Do you think there's a need for Arise South Africa?
I think there is. Yes, there is a need for Arise South Africa.
Take us through.
There is a need for a young people that wants to see change. Not only a young people that speaks about the struggles in street corners, but a young people that says we've got a voice and we've got the power to change what is happening in our country. And we are never out of voices. As long as there's a voice out there that still says, I know that I can make a change, then there's a need for Arise. Then there's a need for any other person out there who says, you know what, I think I can make a change in the political sphere. And they can always also jump on the bandwagon. So there is a need for Arise because there is a need for young people to arise.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. We've got lots of challenges.
Yes.
In South Africa. You know that.
Yes.
Yipi challenge okumfana. Yona Arise address and successfully.
Among other issues, but one of the most prominent issues that we have is the persistent high levels of inequality. And this issue is only an umbrella of what we have in our country. It's inequalities, and what we see stemming from those inequalities is the rampant rape crimes, the poverty rates. And we unfortunately, we get to see the corrupt and the elite few benefiting from this inequality. So it's that inequality, and from that stems more webs from what it is feeding on. It's not only feeding on our people, but it's feeding on our whole system. And this it comes from the historical roots of apartheid, which is a legacy that still impacts the distribution of wealth, the distribution of opportunities and resources among South Africans. And people have fattened themselves from this. The few are fat, and most South Africans are dying from hunger and this inequality. And we, as Arise South Africa, seek to address this challenge by fostering social cohesion, reduction of poverty by upskilling our people. If you look at Asian countries, there are slums, but they're not as dire as we are. It's a certain number of people that are living in poverty. But we cannot be a country that is so rich, yet we are in the top 10% of poor countries. How, when we've got rich minds in South Africa, when we've got young people with solutions and ideas, how are we still a country that is dry and dying? And we need to stand up as young people. We cannot let it happen. We cannot let it keep going on. Yes.
With all you said, there's economy, and it's always been a major concern.
Yes.
Yeah, and it seems as if there's no one who's focusing there. Everyone is doing what he like, from Kaiser Khanyago until the last person that I don't know. As Arise SA, what actions you can take to ensure a long-term sustainability?
Sure. So when we talk about our economy, obviously with money has to be in there.
Yes.
And that saying that says money is the root of all evil. And we have unfortunately, and it's not even a laughing matter, but we see this in our countries, that money has become the root of evil. It has become a controlling force of our country.
Yeah.
So I believe that the first step that needs to be done, Sia, is that, as you would do when you build a house, that one of the things that we do when you build a house is make sure that your site is checked, is proper for building. And with us, South Africa, we would have to excavate and take out the fossils. Yes. The dried up fossils that still want to make changes, the fossils that still want to be a part of what is happening, but they're dried up and dead. There's no solutions. There's nothing that they're giving back. So what we need to do is dig out the rot and then now start building a foundation that we know is going to be stable. Take out the corruption, deal with corruption, and improve governance by introducing governance systems that will attract more investments and instill confidence in the economy. Because no one wants to come into a house with broken windows. So until we as South Africans, and that is what we Arabs will do, is fix our house, put our house in order, fix our windows, and someone will walk outside and say, you know what, that house looks in order, and I'm going to knock on it and find out what I can do for them. Instill confidence in everyone else that wants to invest in South Africa and say, South Africa now has a stable foundation. You can come on board with your solutions and ideas, and we can build forward. Yes.
Since we are talking about broken economy plans, they are small business. And every country knows how important a small business. And here in South Africa, we're fighting with our brothers from outside the country for small businesses.
Yes.
And it seems as if they took everything. So what's your take on that?
Interesting questions here. So when we speak of people who are taking our opportunities. We don't speak of the Russian companies. We don't speak of the German companies that have made South Africa home. We always speak of our brothers our brothers and sisters from Africa. And I believe that the only taking, I don't think it's more than 10% of what they're taking from us. So perhaps we should also expand these to the bigger companies. There are companies from Switzerland, from China, that have made South Africa home. And when we speak of foreign businesses, we don't speak of that. There are smaller Asian companies, small businesses. We would consider them small businesses. But when we talk of small businesses, we don't include them. So what needs to be done is that if you ever believe yourself that I'm capable of it and I can start a business, make it, don't wait for it to be solid. Because what I've noticed with our brothers and sisters from foreign countries and African countries is that they don't have a business plan. They don't have a 10-page business plan that looks all prim and proper with colors and flowers outside of it. Is that they and we are, South Africans are prideful. And if you were to ask one of the young gents sitting outside and you were to say, I've got 10 brooms, please go sell these brooms today and you will get 90% of the profits, they won't do that. So what we need to do is bring back a sense of patriotism in our country, a people that want to move forward. And to move forward, you'd have to put pride aside and say, I will work for the things that I need and I will work for the things that I deserve. And in terms of the smaller businesses that our brothers and sisters have, which are not regulated, we need to tie it up and make sure that we regulate these spaces that they operate in. A regulated space means a safer space. And if we do that, then we know whose business is in our country, how much are they making. Then we would also have to tighten up our country's security. And because our country is so corrupt, the leaders of our country are so corrupt, everyone else who's outside is thinking, I can do anything in South Africa and get away with it. So once we get rid of the rot, then people will know that I cannot play in South Africa. The system, the security system in South Africa is a serious system and it doesn't play around. So that's what we also need to tie down also. Yes.
Talking about youth, next year is 2024.
Yes.
National elections.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think Arise, Malay youth.
Yes.
And youth here, you're laying off on your register to vote.
Yes.
Youth here, it is a register to vote. They get tired go mark with lines the whole day.
Yes.
I'm thinking of something else. Beer or then Ashia Pants. Then youth here to vote. That is worrying.
Yeah.
How can you encourage them?
So at Arise, we are on the ground each and every day, right? We're not sitting in our offices, maybe a day or two in the office, okay, in our suits and and drinking tea from our cups. But we are on the ground each and every day having conversations with young people. And one of the reasons why young people are not interested in politics and they're not interested in voting is because they don't see any representation. And it's not even young people, because I've met people who are just above the ages of 40, and they're saying they don't know who they'll vote for in 2024. So it's not only young people, but South Africans don't see a representation of what the future looks like, of what the future could be. So we at Arise engage with young people, and we let them know, this is how your life looks now. This is a turning wheel that of a process and things that has been happening in your family, right?
Yes.
And you have seen a certain struggle from a certain point, and you are also going through the struggle. So if you don't vote, unfortunately, you are going to be caught up in that rut for quite a while. Your children are going to be caught up in that system too. So do you still want that for yourself? Do you want that for your children, for the next generation? And suddenly a young person will sit back and think, man, I don't think I want this. I don't think I want my children to go through the same struggle. So that's how we get young people. We relate to them with the struggles that the young people at Arise have gone through. And we were having a conversation about when you go to work in the morning. You get in a taxi, right? Perhaps you're going to look for a job. And in a taxi, there is 15 people. 10 of those people are going to go look for a job, you know? And 5 of them might be going to the same company that you're going to. And do you, as a young person, do you want to change that for yourself? What are you doing about it? Are you complaining about it? I know that Savannah is nice, all right? It's nice. It's cold.
It's dry.
What's that? Ntate Thuso calls it a hubble bubble.
Yeah. Hubble.
Yeah, that one. So the hubble bubble is nice, but it's not going to get you anything out of life, right?
Yes.
So do you, as a young person, want to keep going in that rut? Do you want to get into that grave knowing that you could have made a change, but you did not as a young person? So just a day out of your life to stand in a queue to change your future. A day for a future. And we measure it up as young people and say, you definitely don't want that for yourself.
You know, Ikgopoleng,
Yes.
we always say a well-educated workforce is critical to sustain the growth of the economy.
Yes.
But state education here to South Africa, that's correct. There's a lot of dropouts. So that thing, if I give fear, but if the country is not well educated, then say sustain a economy. Encouraging today's youth to go to school. What can you say?
So education, Nelson Mandela was big on education because he understood that there's certain things that life in the streets can teach you. There's certain things that life at home can teach you. And there's only certain things that a book and dedication to the process of studying can teach you. And I think we need to introduce the importance of going through the process of studying and seeing yourself morph into a different being every single time you immerse yourself into studying. Who are going to make the policies of our country if young people don't go and study? Who are going to develop these systems if young people don't develop an interest for studying further? And our education, South Africa's education system is poor. And the reason why, and this is going to take us back to having foreigners in our country, in our education system, in our universities, you find foreign nationals. In our schools, you find foreign nationals. 80% of my teachers where I did my high schooling, 80% of your physical sciences, mathematics teachers were foreign nationals. So our system does not, our education system does not and this is going to sound terrible.
No, it's fine.
And this is why we're doing this, right?
Yeah.
So our education system does not produce quality. It produces quantity. And it produces, and I don't mean this in any disrespectful way, but it produces ECD teachers, early childhood development teachers. There's tons of them who are doing ECD learning because no one wants to go teach mathematics in high school. Yeah. We want to teach mathematics, go on +1 in primary school. We're okay. And our system is okay with that because you just need 30% to pass and you're fine. Just you'll just, life will just be whatever it is, And that is, our system is breeding incompetence.
Yes.
Our education system is breeding incompetence, and we need to change that. Yeah. And we need to be the young people that say, actually, that's not going to get us anywhere. And we're still going to be people that complain that you can't hear your maths teacher because the accent is different. Yes. But you let someone who could have been a maths teacher pass with 30%, which is not happening. And So I have a couple of friends in the aviation industry, and education in the aviation industry is tough, Sia. Like the pass rate for a test is 75% to 80%. And so I've got a group of friends, and about 4 of them, only one of them is a South African who's in aviation. And 3 of them are from African countries, Botswana, Congo, and Kenya. And these kids are just going through it. Like they're studying and they come back and they're like, oh yeah, my pass rate, I passed with 80. That was bad. I should have had a 90. And I'm just looking at them thinking, you can't expect me to pass matric with 30% and then now bring me into the aviation space and you want me to pass with 80%, 75%, right. It's not happening. Ooh, this sounds bad, Sia. But I'm going to say it. But the system trains us to be peanut factory workers. Yes.
Yeah. You are still watching Grand Piano Truth with Sia. Don't forget to subscribe on our channel. Just go Grand Piano Truth with Sia. Click like and subscribe. And also remember, Ikgopoleng views are not of the shows. Shaf.
Oh, yes, yeah.
We have load shedding, pandemic, and our leaders are promising us that December is the last month of load shedding.
Are you seeing it? Are you seeing a December with lights?
No, I don't trust that. How can you approach Eskom?
Yeah, isn't Eskom dead? Can we still revive Eskom as an entity? Is it still revivable as an entity? I don't know. The last time they said the coals were wet and they had to dry the coals. And I don't know, as an entity, I don't think we can revive it anymore. But we can develop systems that could create, we could develop systems that could create sustainable electricity for the next year. You know what technology has done for us, which we have seen Asian countries use a lot, is that they have... It's more thinking, working on a system, and then putting out the system to come up with a solution. So we've got AI, where if you can go now to the internet and say, how can South Africa deal with the current electricity crisis? There is suggestions that could work there, but our current government is hard-headed, and they don't want to. You go to them as a young person and says, here's the solution. It doesn't work, right? So, and load shedding it's something that would have that should have been dealt with years ago, because they knew when they took over, and this is what the apartheid government also did well, is that when they handed over South Africa, is that they just like handed it over to people who were incompetent and knew nothing about running a country, knew nothing about running systems, knew nothing about running certain systems for engineering and all of that. So they gave power to people and said, here, people who are not trained for anything, right? And that's what we're seeing panning out at Eskom with load shedding. So I really don't know if we'll see no load shedding by December. I don't trust it. But the systems that Asian countries are using it to make sure that there's electricity, we can look at harnessing the power of solar, of wind, which is much more sustainable than coal. But because there's a few that I spoke about earlier that are saying they've fattened themselves from eating all these resources. If they let go of Eskom, what are they going to eat? What are they going to feed on now? Because if there's now sustainable systems in South Africa, it means that money is falling out of their pockets, right? They cannot hold bricks in their pockets anymore. So unfortunately, we won't see the end of load shedding by December, but perhaps if you vote Arise in 2024, it might be the end of it.
On that point, Senator still in the IEC?
We have, Sia. So we have, no, Sia, I told you we're not a crawling baby. Yes, we are a running baby. So we have registered with the IEC, and we are contesting both the national and provincial elections. And we have leaders across South Africa. So, and this past
9 provinces?
Yes, 9 provinces. And these are young people that are saying, oh, finally, my voice is heard. Finally, I can go and run, Finally, my solutions will work somewhere else. This is what young people are doing. And they've been waiting. They've been waiting for a representation to say, now we see ourselves in parliament. Now we're going to work towards getting ourselves in parliament. Yes.
Take us to your confidence. Because there are political parties like COPE, UDM, I don't know the thing of Kutama, they came, but they are gone.
They're gone. Woo!
Take us to your confidence. Your long-term plans.
Our long-term plan is to have a constant, solid representation of young people in South Africa. That is our long term. To not just see a young person today and they're gone, and to not see young people being used as puppets in government, as we're seeing with our newly elected youth people. We're not going to say names, but we all know. So we don't want young people to be pawns in politics. We want to see young people be policymakers, decision makers, in positions of power, but not to hunger for power, but to make a change in South Africa. And it's a long-term vision that I see it happening. We live it at Arise. We breathe it at Arise. We are leaders at Arise, young people that are, if you were to put me in parliament tomorrow, I'm coming up with a solution, right? I might be laughing through it, or but I'm coming up with a solution of things that I've lived through, and I know that if tested out, we can see the fruits of it. So that's what Arise is doing long term. A young people with representation in government, a young people in policy making spaces, decision making spaces, in solution driven spaces. Yes.
Okay. Let me take this opportunity and connect choral and politics.
Politics, yes.
Because if we talk choral and politics, is the same thing.
Yes.
As I said before.
Yes.
Even now we've got new operas Winnie Opera, Mandela Opera.
Yes.
Songs about your Oliver Tambo. Yeah. So, but in South Africa we've got a lot of artists, opera artists, that are all over the world.
Yes.
The likes of Pretty and Mosangona and others.
Yes.
And they are doing great. They are contracted overseas in big opera houses. And yet here in South Africa, we have opera houses that are closed, that are not functioning at all.
Yes.
We have ABC Muzibe. I think we'll talk about it before we start the show.
Yes.
ABC Muzibe, that is doing competitions, school competitions every year. Those kids, they win, they go to university, then after that they come and sit home with qualifications in music.
Yes.
While our opera houses or theaters are closed. Not everyone will go abroad. We must be realistic about that.
Yes.
Yeah. What can you do given a chance as Arise SA?
You know what other countries has done very well in Europe?
Yes.
What Europe has done very well is preserving choral and opera music, right? And they have done that by making it a cultural treasure.
Exactly.
So it's not just entertainment. It's not just a trend that is coming in today and gone tomorrow.
Yes.
It is a cultural treasure that it is entrenched in families, in schools. That if there's 4 people in a household, best believe that 2 of them are going to become singers, either in opera and choral, and they're going to make a career out of it. So that's what we need to go back as South Africans. And when we began chatting, we spoke about shows like Imezulili.
Yes.
Where it was playing on a Friday, on a Saturday, on a Sunday.
Yes.
It was played throughout the weekend, and it was different genres going in, and there was excitement in our townships and in our communities that a certain community is coming, a certain township is competing with another township.
Exactly.
And it was exciting. We saw men and women in choral and opera music dressed in their suits, dressed in our beautiful dresses to go and celebrate and listen to singers. And we don't have that anymore in South Africa. And there's a lot of things that have fallen out as the years go by, and there is no connectivity of people. And perhaps that's where we need to go back for, is that music connects people.
Exactly.
Let's go back to connecting people with music and bring back the culture of choral and opera. Make it a cultural thing. And then when we do that, now it becomes viable to invest in. Make it a thriving culture, and now it becomes viable for investments. And at Arise, we believe that introducing music programs in our communities will boost choral music.
Exactly.
Right? We do have it in schools, but not as we had back in the 80s, the early 2000s. We don't have that anymore. And we need to have people like yourselves, with channels like this, to speak on choral music, to go to schools and develop programs in schools. If our government is not doing it, Sia, then you have to do it, And we have seen technology change different industries. Perhaps choral music and opera could now dive into that and see which systems can they use. Is there an AI that they can use? Is there new technology that can be used to distribute and record music? And that's where we start as Arise. We say we are very big on the 4th Industrial Revolution. Africa was never part of any of the previous revolutions.
Yes, exactly.
We were only part of it as workers, right? But we were never part of a revolution as as thought leaders.
Yes.
But now there's an opportunity for us to be involved in the fourth industrial revolution as fourth leaders. So choral and opera music could well find itself, in South Africa, developed again through AI, distribution channels, and I think that's the way we should go.
Yes. No, I get you.
Yes.
It's the 1st of August.
Yes.
Women's Month. What can you say to all young women out there that are losing hope because of the situation in South Africa?
So, 1st of August, Women's Month. It's a very exciting month for us at Arise because we are launching our Women's League called Women Arise. And this is a very powerful step that we're taking. This is a very powerful step that we're taking because, women are the foundations of a society.
Yes.
And I would like to say to the young women of South Africa who are saying, I've got no hope, it looks very dim, it looks very dark, to say that it looks dark because you have made darkness your home, right? You have taken the world struggles and you've carried them on your shoulder, and you need to take off the sackcloth and stand and arise and fight for yourself.
Yes.
And each and every day becomes hard when you fight, but pushing through it is what makes you a conqueror. So I would like to say to every young woman out there is that push through it. Get up from where you are in the ashes that you're laying in. Dust yourself off and go and fight for it. That's what I would like to say to the young woman. And that we are open at Arise for you, young ladies, or the solutions and the ideas that you have. Let's have conversations as young women. Let's get together and uplift each other.
Okay.
Yes.
Ikgopoleng, if they want to engage you, where can they communicate with you? Maybe on social media platforms or
yes,
your office number?
Yes, so at Arise, of course, we are young people. We are on social media.
Okay.
So we've got a website, www.arisesa.org. And on Instagram, you can find us. It's at arisesa.org_. And we are on Facebook as Arise South Africa Political Party, because there are a lot of organizations with the name Arise. So Arise South Africa Political Party. We are on YouTube, Arise South Africa Political Party. And there's a lot of interesting conversations we have there. So you really want to be there with us as we grow. So our office numbers is 087 164 8033.
8033.
And is your vote a secret?
My vote is secret for now. Yeah,
okay. All right. Right.
Okay. Ikgopoleng, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
Tenda, thank you, bro. Sharp.
Thank you, Sia. Thank you for having me.
Sharp.
Thanks.